All right, guys, we're back on CSP. We have with us an amazing guest. I'm super psyched to have him on. We have Dan, one of the directors of Adjust Your Tracking, and he is also the curator of VHShitfest.com. So super psyched to have him on, and we're gonna talk about the release of Adjust Your Tracking. We're talking about so much shit right now, but let's get started with welcoming you to the show. Dan, how you doing?
Oh, good. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Oh man, no problem. Thanks for coming on. I love finding somebody that you can just talk about nerdy shit with, and nobody looks at you funny. So.
Oh yeah, exactly. Agreed.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, I got to ask you. I'm a huge fan of the movie. Of course, I had to download, I had to buy the download from the website just to watch it before I got my big box in the mail because I couldn't wait to fucking watch the movie.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
How cool was it to meet Lloyd Kaufman? I got to ask you right off the bat.
Oh, that was great. Years and years ago, probably almost 10 years ago, I met him at a local, really, really small film festival that was done here, and he was great. But getting to, really sit down and, talk with him was amazing. We had, a lot of, extra footage and, just hanging out with him and getting, the tour around the Troma Studios and everything was amazing. They had a lot of old movie props and old memorabilia down in their basement and stuff. So getting to see that and hear him tell stories was amazing.
Oh shit, that was going to be my next question, was if it was done at Troma Studios.
Yeah,
I can only imagine some of the awesome memorabilia that they have. Did they have one of the Toxie standees with the actual mop head that was on it?
Oh, yep, they had one of those. They had a bunch of really obscure Toxic Crusaders merchandise that I had never seen, all kinds of action figures and stuff, plus weird posters, foreign posters, and one of the coolest finds, one of the coolest things I saw down there, I think, was the original copy of Cannibal the Musical that Matt Stone and Trey Parker sent to him. It was a beta tape of the movie. That was the original one that they sent to Troma before the movie ever got released and everything. So that was kind of cool since I really dig that movie.
Holy shit, man, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
That's besides my horror movies, I'm building my Troma library as well, and I recently purchased the Ultimate Toxic Avenger DVD set that comes with Toxic Crusaders.
Nice. Yeah, I have that one too. That's great.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I'm not sure, as far as the Troma Masterpiece collection, the only one I was missing was the Troma's War Troma Masterpiece. And
nice.
That was, super hard to find on Amazon. I couldn't just run into it anywhere. I found a dude in Australia that was selling it for $25. So bought that just last night. Now I'm anxiously waiting for the mail to come.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's great.
So, I want to ask you as well, how long have you considered yourself a serious tape collector? How long ago did you really get into the VHS side of things?
A serious tape collector, I'd say probably it's getting close to 4 years now when I'd say I really seriously was into it. I mean, I've always bought tapes before that and bought DVDs. Of course, I've loved movies my entire life. But I think when I first realized that this was an actual collection and that I was going out and really hunting for these things was a video store opened up in the town that I went to college in, and it was a local chain kind of, but instead of being an actual rental place, they brought all the tapes from all their stores and just used this place to sell their old merchandise.
Oh, nice.
And so I was basically able to, I bought hundreds and hundreds of tapes from them. Every week I'd go in and buy new stuff, and I'd get stuff like Birds 2, the sequel to Hitchcock's The Birds, weird, obscure movies that didn't make it ever to DVD. And once I had over 100, then I was all right, I'm full speed ahead. I'm a collector. And then I started getting into it more, meeting collectors, trading, and found Facebook, found the Facebook group, and then started VHShitfest. And from there, it's history. Now I have over 8,000 tapes. So,
holy shit! Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, I would consider myself to be an amateur connoisseur of VHS. I love everything about it. I don't have a huge collection. Whenever I had to pick a side, I went with DVD at the time. And by the time that I was man, VHS is really cool. I should have kept buying VHS tapes. It was I already have 2,000 DVDs. I can't really turn back now.
Yeah, exactly. that the same thing happened to me. I like had a huge collection, my parents' collection, and like some of my own tapes from being like from growing up and stuff, buying them. And then like when DVD came out, I like just assumed that every movie that was ever out would come on DVD. And I mean, slowly I realized that wasn't going to be the case. And by that point, like I had like 2,000 DVDs, like you said, and like it was a while before I was like, all right, well, it's inevitable. Like I'm going to have to like have both formats. And then, I mean, once, like I said, once I got into it, like I realized and remembered just how much I loved VHS and like all the old experiences. Like a lot of my early favorite movies I watched for the first time on VHS over and over again in my room. So like just the second I would pop one of those like movies in like basket case or something, it was like bringing me right back. And then from that point on, I would guess was rehooked on VHS.
And yeah, it's like as soon as you pop in a VHS tape for the first time in a long time, like if you've been stuck on DVDs for years and you pop in the VHS tape, just even the fucking sound the tape makes going in, the little like that in the background whenever you hear it starting up, everything about it just takes you back, man.
Yeah, exactly. I love it so much. It's great.
Did you ever get into Laserdisc?
I wasn't into Laserdisc. I'm more into Laserdisc now. I would always pick up like anything cool I'd find, but I was kind of waiting to find a working player in person. And about like maybe 6 months ago or something, I found like a Laserdisc player in person that works and is great. So from now I buy like anytime I come across like a cool movie, or like I'm big into Criterion DVDs, and so like anytime I come across like a Criterion Laserdisc, especially if they never put it out on DVD, I'll pick it up, because oftentimes there's like special features and stuff on there that were never transferred over to the DVD. So
do you have a ton of the Criterion DVDs?
Oh yeah, I have a ton of Criterions on DVD.
Sounds like I'm talking to a guy that has RoboCop Criterion on DVD.
Oh yeah, I definitely have RoboCop. That was like one of the earliest ones I remember getting too. So classic.
Yep, and I know also Spinal Tap is hard to find too on Criterion.
Yeah, Spinal Tap's great. I have that one. That one like took me a while to find, because even when I got into Criterion, it was already out of print by that point. So.
Oh man, that's great. So obviously, I mean, you still do collect DVDs. You haven't just completely given up on that, have you? Or
oh no, yeah. When a DVD is done well, it's amazing. When they when they make nice packaging, great artwork, pack it with extras. Like I love DVDs. So, but I mean, like I said, there's a lot of movies that you still can't get on DVD and never will be able to. And a lot of times, like DVD companies don't really try with like their transfers or their artwork, or it's just a bare bones release. And if that's the case, then I'm just going to stick with VHS in those instances.
Yeah, I still have to, I would love to have a collection like yours, of VHS tapes that never got released VHS tapes that never got released to DVD. I feel like a lot of the ones I have, like, I was psyched to find, Blood Spattered Bride, for like 25 cents. So that was super cool. I did actually just yesterday, we were talking a little bit before we started recording, got back from a trip to Kansas City looking for, whatever I could find DVD or VHS wise. And I came across a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Coming Out of Their Shells live VHS tour.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I have that one too. That's great.
Oh, man.
That's amazing. I'm actually not sure. Did that ever come out on DVD? I doubt it did.
And that's what I thought immediately too. I was looking around. I didn't find a DVD for it. I was like, man, I've never seen a live tour of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that's just something like that. That's another reason I love VHS, is because like there's certain things that like during the video boom, like it made sense to put that out, but like now it's just been completely forgotten. Like old like music videos or how-to videos or like live footage and stuff like that, like people don't even remember that, let alone consider like transferring it to DVD and like actually giving it like a good release. So that's why I love like hunting for tapes, because you never know like what kind of stuff like that you'll find.
Oh, I know. Just digging through the bin of endless VHS tapes of, fucking Jerry Maguire's, and you're throwing pieces of the missing Malaysian airliner out of the way, looking for more Ninja Turtles and stuff. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. That's great.
So what would you say is your most prized possession right now that you own in your library?
Tape wise, I have a couple. I have a copy of Tales from the Quadead Zone,
Nice.
and that one I spent a lot of money on, and one of the reasons it's like definitely one of my prized possessions is because like Scarecrow Video is one of my favorite video stores in the country, and it was from their personal collection, and it's the only copy. This is like not the one that most people have. This has like all original artwork, never before seen. It's no one can explain its origin, and nobody knows where it came from, how they got it, like even what it is. And this is like just kind of like a piece of video history. So I knew when that one popped up online that I had to buy it no matter what the price, just because it's the first time I ever heard of the movie when I saw that copy, and so many other people have discovered the movie through that, and it might never pop up again. So I was like, this is just something I need to own. And like in that instance, like I am proud and really happy to own it, but like I prefer finding something in like the wild rather than spending like a ton of money. I really love when I find something insane or like super obscure for $1 or $2 or whatever. Like one of my other favorites is a copy of the movie Hell Roller, and it's like a slasher movie. It's shot on video, and it's about a handicapped serial killer that goes around LA killing off, like, basically all he kills off is like prostitutes and like muscle heads the entire movie. And it's insanely bad but addicting, and it's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. And I was lucky enough to end up finding the director and a lot of the actors, so I was able to get my copy signed, and we were eventually able to put out a DVD version of it too. So
yeah,
those are two of my favorites.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was actually looking at your store here on VHShitfest.com, and I was going through, and I saw that you were selling a copy of that DVD, right?
Yep. We still do. On you can get the DVDs through adjustertracking.com of Hell Roller. We have a 21st anniversary edition, which has new interviews with the guy who played the King of the Bums in the movie. The director is on there. We have like a live script reading of the original script, which was called Scumbag. And in that one, it was actually like the original killer was supposed to be an African-American midget named Scumbag, and not like a handicap, like not anyone in a wheelchair at all. So like they went from that to like a crazy guy named Eugene in a wheelchair. So like that one, that I was really happy to get that original script and be able to put that movie out for people to see.
Oh man, that's great. Well, I wanted to ask you some more about just actually putting out your own movies and DVDs and things like that. But like as far as this Tales of the Quadead Zone that you purchased, I mean, we're talking in the hundreds, right?
Yeah. I might as well just say the price. It was $1,024.
Holy shit, man!
Yeah, that's by far the most I've ever spent on a tape, and it has to be up there with like the most that anyone has spent on a tape.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. It seems like you beat the record. Then I didn't know if anybody else had gone over the $1,000 mark, but
yeah, I don't know of anyone. I assume it has to have happened, but not like as public knowledge. It might have just happened like back in the day, and for all I know, it could have been like some weird tape that is off my radar, like you know, some music tape or just something really obscure that like isn't really a VHS collector going after it, but more of like a different type of collector, maybe like a wrestling tape or something like that. But yeah, as far as I know, that is the one of the highest, if not the highest, like horror or cult movie tape like end price.
Oh man, that's crazy. That's so awesome that you have it. I mean, especially because so many of them were lost. I mean, how many of them were there even to begin with?
Yeah, nobody really knows how many there were to begin with. And I know of maybe 4 people that have a copy, like an actual copy of the original release. So it's very, very few. And like I was just like, well, I basically have to do this with whatever the price. And I was actually able to fund that to like through selling doubles and like just stuff I didn't want. So I was able to like sell some of like tapes that I found in the wild to pay for that. So it wasn't like it didn't bankrupt me or anything, luckily.
Oh man, so that's awesome. Okay, so recently, what has been your biggest and most successful haul that you've had on a tape hunt?
Oh, well, I actually just got back from a 2-week hunt with a friend of mine. It's done every state at this point for video. Like, when we go on hunts, we basically only go to video stores that are still left that have VHS. He calls I'll give a shout out to him, Tony Salamoni. He calls every store in the Yellow Pages, and then I'm the one who drives the entire time, and we go store to store, like hoping to find stuff. And this last time was insane for VHS and for old video games. We found a lot of really rare stuff. We found like Lunch Meat, a movie called Streets of Death,
Nice.
bunch of like big boxes, unicorn stuff, just basically really rare, like sellable, like cool tapes. Like at this point, since I have so many, there's very few that like I need to keep, and like we even found some of those, so that was like good. Like I found some for my personal collection, and then some that we were able to sell. So, and then video game wise, we found a bunch of like old Nintendo games. We found Little Samson, which is on eBay right now, and it's already at over $700. So
holy shit! And that's just an original cassette, video cassette from the original Nintendo.
Yep.
Holy shit, man.
Crazy.
So, I mean, how do you personally have the willpower if you come across a super rare find that's going for close to $1,000 that you do not have in your personal collection? Do you have the willpower to ever flip that and sell it?
It's very, very tough. It depends, actually. Like, I don't know. Like, it's basically case by case basis.
Right.
If I really, really need it, then basically there's nothing that's going to stop me from just keeping it. But if like I feel like I could possibly find this again, and like right now somebody's willing to pay a lot for it, or seems like they want it even more than I do, then like I can part with it. And I kind of look at it like, as long as I can continue funding my own hunts and my own VHS purchases through buying other tapes, then it's a win for me, basically. So
that's what I'm like too. If I run into something that I don't have with as far as my DVD collection goes, I'll throw it on Amazon and I'll put just a super high price point. If somebody bites, then you know that's the way it's supposed to be. But I don't really want to sell it.
Yeah, that's me too. Sometimes like, if I just figure out what my like max like amount would be that I would personally like keep it for, and then I started at that. And if people bid higher than that, then obviously they are willing to pay more, and chances are they want it more than I do, and I'll be happy to take the money. So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the movie Adjust Your Tracking.
Okay.
I'm sure that you've been asked a lot of these questions before, so we'll run.
No problem.
We'll run through some of them here, but I mean, just kind of just give me just a brief description, like of how you guys decided to do this movie. Like, what gave you the inspiration? Obviously, besides your passion for VHS.
Yeah, well, that it started with me being like a huge collector, and then through that I began like meeting other people in like the VHS collecting community, and just other people at like conventions or out at stores that were like super passionate and just as into VHS as I was. And I kind of saw like it just growing, and like it was basically looked like VHS was just going to become more popular, or like as popular as it has been since at least like the early 2000s. So I was like, all right, this is like the perfect time to like kind of capture this whole like resurgence and this VHS community of people that like still care and still collect VHS, because it's almost like, well, it's not 50-50, but it's like half the people you talk to understand and realize why you would still buy VHS, and then like the other half that you talk to are just like, that's worthless, like toss that in the trash, like there's DVDs and everything, like you don't need to buy VHS anymore. And they don't really realize like the collector aspect, and also just the fact that like as they get older, this was a piece of, you know, film history and art history in general. So like as they get older, you don't want like stuff like this to get lost or just forgotten about. So we were like, all right, now's the time. Let's like dive right into this. And we started with like the contacts that I had already known, like the collectors that I had met either online or in person. And then like from there, we were just asking people like, oh, do you know anyone? And do you know anyone? And from that, we ended up getting over 100 interviews with either people who are releasing new movies on VHS, like Lloyd Kaufman or Wild Eye Releasing or Massacre Video, or people who love VHS, whether they had gigantic collections or like we're just getting into it. We just wanted that like passion to be captured on film or on video, I guess.
Did any of the people that you interviewed, like that you wanted to interview, did you get turned down by anybody that you were kind of seeking to interview?
No, I think, well, there was maybe a few people where like the schedule didn't work out, like they were out of town and stuff like that, but it was just like collectors that like I really wasn't like, that I didn't know, like personally. It was just like, oh, somebody recommended me, like I talked to you, like, are you free to do this interview? And then they'd be like, well, I'm like out of town or I can't do it. I think the very early on, we like kind of wanted to get Charles Band too, and this was before the like Wizard like reissues or whatever that he did, like the warehouse find that he supposedly had. Of
doing
Wizard
like
stuff,
like 3 a month or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly. This was before that, but we, you know, since he like was so into VHS back in the day, and like, you know, so part of that history, we were like, all right, we should try and get him. But he was like shooting the new Puppet Master, and slowly we like realized that like the focus of the movie was going to be less on history. We wanted to kind of get that like in at the beginning of the movie and then bring it up to date with like how people got into this hobby and why it's so important still. So like it was really, we didn't really need him at the end of the day. So
the new Puppet Master sounds pretty sweet. I haven't.
Oh yeah, I haven't. I've seen, I think, the last one. And I have not seen this new one. Is the new one Axis of Evil, or was that the last one?
That was the last one that came out.
Okay, I have seen that one, but I haven't seen the new one with that like Ilsa puppet looking girl.
Right.
Yeah, I just saw pictures from it, but it looks like fun.
How do you feel about the new releases that they're putting out over on that side, like you know, the 3 a month that's autographed? Are you going to get any of those, or?
I haven't got any of those, and I was thinking about getting them until only because of like I was like, well, if they're actually original boxes, then like but re-release tapes, like new tapes, I can just get the box and then eventually find like one in like bad condition or just a tape only and switch them out. Right. I was like, all right, well, this will be like a good way for me to have like a bunch of really like mint condition, like nice big boxes. But then like the more I like looked into it, I like heard rumors that the boxes were recreated and saw videos online of like people almost basically, in my opinion, 100% proving that they weren't original boxes, that they were actually like newly produced boxes. Then that kind of, it doesn't surprise me either. Like Charles Band, like once he hears like a good way to make money, like, and I understand it too. I understand why he would want to kind of like capitalize on this, like what he probably views as like a trend right now of people like buying old tapes. So like, I don't blame him for it, but like, I just am not into it, especially the fact that like a lot of the movies like are technically like bootlegs, since he doesn't own the rights to like I Spit on Your Grave anymore. Him redoing like a tape of that, even if the box is original, is still like basically like not too cool. So I don't know. I wasn't into it, but I could see why other people would be into it, because it's like an easier way to find some like, you know, some VHS that you remember growing up and renting and stuff like that.
And you're definitely right. That's a dude he's totally in it to make the buck out of this, what he thinks is a trend right now. And you can even tell whenever you go to the Full Moon website, you watch the video, and he's like, people are asking me about VHS, and then and then all of a sudden I found out like, oh, there's a super crazy market in this. Yeah, let's put out, let's tell everybody that we found these boxes after however many years, and they're pristine. But they don't include any tapes.
Yeah, exactly. It's very weird. And I mean, other people are into it for that. I mean, I like Lloyd Kaufman as a person, but I'm not going to deny that, like, obviously he heard there was a market, and like anything that he can sell, like, why not do it? And I mean, I don't blame him for that. So I don't blame Charles Band for that either. Like, they got to make money somehow. But I just kind of wasn't into him like lying about the fact that they were like original boxes, or that he like still somehow owned the rights to like all these like classic horror movies that have amazing DVD editions already. Like, no, you don't own the rights to Zombie anymore. So but yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more, man. And also, I was really psyched to see that you guys you interviewed Matt Moore from from Horror Hound, from the Video Invasion. That's my favorite article, dude.
Yeah, I love that's my favorite article in Horror Hound too. Like, I loved reading them every time he did them, and like, he's a great guy. I was happy to get him in the movie.
Were there ever any times, traveling all around the country like you have shooting this movie, that you were like fearing for your life?
Oh my, yeah, without a doubt. There was so many times actually on the trip. Like, I've done multiple like trips around the country, but like for just this movie, we've done two. One to shoot the actual movie, and then one to tour the movie, like screening wise. And like both times, like driving in a car, like I have a Honda Fit, so it's like really small, and we had tons of tapes that we were finding, 4 guys, all the like equipment, all of our clothes for a month, and like it was jam packed in there. And like we of course wanted to make the most of the trip, so like literally like the whole trip I planned it all out to like the second, and we had 21 days, and we did I think 60 to 75, I'm not 100% for sure, interviews on that trip. So like to fit that many interviews in that little time, we were literally driving 24 hours straight, like a lot of times like overnight. And there was many times where like I was falling asleep at the wheel, like I'm not even gonna lie. So like, yeah, there was multiple times where we almost died that way. And then also like during this time, like we wanted to have fun on the trip too, so we planned like a bunch of terrible like roadside stops. And like I didn't think anything of it, but we were going to see in like Northern California, we were going to see a Bigfoot statue made of like scrap metal or something. And the GPS, we had just gotten done at like a video store in like the Portland area, so we were leaving from there going to like LA, and that's like a really, really long drive. So this was going to be like kind of like the breakup point of the drive. We were going to like stop here, and the GPS told us the quickest way was to go like, well, they told us the quickest way basically. And then when we got to, I guess, the California like state line, all of a sudden like there was no cement roads anymore. It was all dirt roads. And we were just like that's really weird. Like, but we just kept going and going. Oh, you saw that on the DVD?
I saw the featurette. I was going to bring that up too, and I was for anybody that hasn't purchased the DVD or the big box set, it's on there and it's hilarious. You guys have to see it. Like, you're watching your car, it's kind of going in a fast motion, and then you just see the car just slowly going uphill. I'm waiting for it to just get to the point where it can't go uphill anymore and just start rolling backwards.
Yeah, exactly. We ended up, well, basically, long story short, we ended up like going all the way up a mountain and all the way down a mountain, and it was by far the most, like, the video doesn't even come close to doing it justice. Like, we actually like almost like slipped off the mountain like multiple times. It was not like GPS, like like there should be no way that's even like registers on GPS's like possible routes, because like it was a like less like we have a tiny car and our car couldn't even fit on the road, and it was a 2-lane like road, so like the entire time we were like nervous that like a truck would just come out of nowhere and be going the opposite direction, and we just have to like fly off the side of the mountain because, like, to let it go by us, because there was literally no other way. But yeah, that time, and there was other times that weren't as crazy as that, just where we were in bad neighborhoods, like looking for tapes and other things like that. But that was by far the like craziest.
Oh, and the funniest part of that little featurette that you put on there was seeing how kind of like, you know, almost excited everybody was at first. They're like, hey, you know, well, we're going uphill and we're in the middle of nowhere. And then like a few hours later, you guys are just all bummed out. Like, we're still in the middle of nowhere. We don't know where the fuck we're going.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's getting pissed.
Yeah, everyone, especially like the co-director and the producer, were like literally like almost crying. Like it was that like dangerous. It was that dangerous. They were like, please, like turn around. Like we're gonna die. Like it was so funny. But we ended up making it through it, like thanks to my like driving, I guess, and like just luck.
And your car's will to succeed there, because I was just waiting for that thing to stop any second, man. That was great.
Yeah. Well, like, just speaking of that car, like, I've driven that more than anyone ever should drive a car around the country multiple times, and like just so much. And like currently, like for the past probably like 5 months, it's been like just dying left and right. Like it's been giving me the worst like trouble ever. It's in the shop like right as we speak. So like I don't suggest like going up a mountain or taking a Honda Fit around the country. Like it's good on gas, but like trust me on that one, like it's going to it might seem good while you're doing it, but then it dies and in the middle of nowhere. So
I want to ask you kind of about like the kind of dollars and cents that went into this. Like how much did the project end up costing? And whenever you're shooting a movie, what ends up costing the most in making like an independent movie?
Well, basically, we ended up doing a Kickstarter. Well, we funded a first little like trip to like the New York, New Jersey, Philly area by ourselves, and that was just out of pocket. And that we got maybe like 15 interviews, which included like Lloyd Kaufman, Tony Timpone, and some other like somewhat bigger like named people. And then we threw it up on Kickstarter. We cut a little like trailer for it and did a Kickstarter campaign. And basically I figured out how much it would cost to drive around the country, like how much in gas it would cost. And like I came up with like $3,000. And so we wanted 3,000, and we ended up getting more than that, like thanks to like a lot of like support from people who like really wanted to see the movie like succeed. And so we got that, and really we got at the time, well, I still technically am in college, but the co-director, he graduated, but he was a film major, and like we were able to just loan out all the equipment, so that saved us a ton of money. And then like our really major cost was just gas. And like all the interviews, everyone did the interview for free just because they wanted to support the project. We were able to basically, I mean, I think we stayed at one motel, and we ended up sleeping in the car maybe twice. And all the rest of the time, like on both trips, we found people who would just let us stay at their house, whether they were even going to be involved in the movie or not. They just wanted to like help us out. So basically, I'd say gas was the most expensive, but it would have been obviously like all the equipment, the lighting equipment, the cameras and everything, if we weren't able to loan those out from the school. And the complete total cost, I'd say, was probably a little less than $5,000 actually. And just through word of mouth and stuff, we were able to easily make that back just on our screening tour. Where we screened the movie at a bunch of different places. We were able to make that back through like screening, through ticket sales and through merch sales. So like that was a great plus.
And do you guys go through the distribution then yourselves? Is that like VHShitfest that's going through the packaging and everything and distributing, or?
Yeah, we did all of the like right now is the movie's only for sale through like our website, and that was like a deal that we worked out with the company that we're going through, MVD, who's going to like distribute it to stores and stuff like that, because it's like basically impossible for like just one like an independent filmmaker to like contact a place like Best Buy or something like that and like get them to even care. So like in order for us to do that and to get it on iTunes and like Netflix, Hulu, and stuff like that, we ended up having to go to a distributor. But like with the deal that we got, we're always able to sell it through our website, and we are also handling all the like printing of the movie and everything like that, so we could actually like physically like make the product the way that we wanted to make the product and not worry that like a company was just doing it and not like, you know, putting any like effort into it or anything like that. We were able to actually have a company do the big box art, like do all the design and everything, and then like we fold them, we put the DVDs in there, and you know, like do all that stuff. So
and I'm actually holding my copy of the VHS Big Box right here in front of me.
Nice.
It has amazing cover art, dude.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, first of all, how did the idea for this cover art come about? And you know, basically, where'd you get the artwork from?
Okay, well, the idea, we basically wanted to get kind of, I guess it's kind of like a throwback to a lot of like the VHS, like video boom era stuff, in that like we wanted the cover art to just look as big and amazing. Like if you saw this on the shelf, you would be like, what is this? Like I need to see this without knowing anything about it. And also we gave like some nods to movies like Exterminator is on there. I think Lunch Meat's on there, and some other
Zombie on there.
Yeah, Zombie, Return of the Aliens, Deadly Spawn, and stuff like that. Because I mean, we wanted, obviously those are like some major movies that like touched a lot of like video collectors back in the day that like really stood out to them. So we hit up a friend of ours who's also in the movie, Devin Whitehead, who's done some art for like Whorehound. He did a lot of like the Whorehound recent covers and stuff like that.
He had a super funny story in your movie about where he was going through and the guy's like, yo man, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, you just messed up my whole organization. And he's like, I didn't know if I should, do you want me to reorganize them for you? Or
yeah, that story was amazing. And like we went to a lot of places like that with him when we ended up interviewing him, and it's like great to kind of like see the difference and the similarities between like West Coast like video store owners and like East Coast video store owners. They have like a lot of like, you know, similarities where like it almost seems like the majority of them just like wish they weren't there, and like that this is just like a front for like some other business that's like much less legal. But yeah, that was really fun. And like, yeah, he did the artwork and we were just blown away by it, like, and it was just exactly what we wanted. And we had another artist, Nate Higley, who did for the people who donated via Kickstarter, they got like a limited edition VHS, and he did artwork for that, and that's in like a clamshell case. But besides that, all the like design and everything else, like besides those two like paintings, were all done by the co-director Levi Paratic. He did all the layout, the DVD menus, everything like that.
Have you seen the other VHS documentary that's out? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have seen that. You're talking about Rewind This?
I believe that's what it's called, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. I met the director of that, Josh. He came to our screening in New York, our New York premiere, and he was really nice and was just like telling us about the movie. We like hit each other up like via Facebook to kind of like see, you know, what each of us was doing, and he told me that like his was going to focus more on like the history of VHS and like a lot of like stories involving that. Like they were going to like do like some Japanese like and like the history of the VCR type stuff. And then like when he saw our movie, he was like, they complement each other like well. And then like finally I got the chance to see it a few months ago, and like yeah, he was right. Like I feel like if you're going, like it's a good like compliment like to one another. Like his does like focus more on the history, and then like ours is like more about like the current like subculture of like collectors and like people who still love the format.
Right. And you know, the thing that I felt was lacking in the other movie that I love so much about yours was you would be watching it, and then all of a sudden, like the the tracking would fuck up, and then it plays with your mind. Like you forget that's just an effect that you put in. It was like an Andy Kaufman type, joke almost. It makes you feel like, oh shit, now I got to fix the tracking. It's just so second nature to you.
Yeah.
And it's got so many of those little things in the movie.
Yeah, we really wanted to and all those too. We wanted to really bring people back and make people remember what it was like, because we figured a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but at least some people would be watching this movie, and it would be the first time in a while that they've even bothered watching anything on VHS. So we kind of wanted to bring people into that time frame and mindset of all the video imperfections and just exactly what it looks and feels like. We added a lot of those sounds that you were talking about throughout the movie, at the beginning, that sound that's almost like a dial tone, and then at the end when it's static fuzz when the tape just ends and stuff. So and all those were created naturally with a VCR. We didn't use any After Effects or anything. We literally those were just things that happened while we were if there's a tracking problem in the video, that was literally us with the tracking thing on our actual VCR and stuff like that. So we wanted to create all that naturally, so it would feel as real as possible.
And honestly, your movie tapped into a part of my brain that hasn't been tapped into, except it was maybe once last year whenever my fucking VCR ate my Body Bags tape, and I was like, oh shit, I remember this used to be a thing.
Yeah, nice.
So
yeah.
But yeah, man, hilarious. It really just tapped a part of my brain that hasn't been used in a while. So that was super cool.
Oh, thank you.
And also, what have you found to be the most rewarding thing about making this movie? I mean, there's got to be so many things, but what did you feel was most rewarding to you?
Well, I feel since the movie, since we started working on the movie and since we did the screening tour, I've seen online the numbers of people on the VHS groups and just posting and talking about VHS have really shot up, and it can't all be from the movie, but it makes me proud when somebody does say that they got into collecting or have dug out their tapes or started collecting again because of seeing the movie, or just they've been talking about VHS and telling their friends and stuff like that. That makes me really happy that more people are kind of supporting and paying attention to VHS and not just forgetting about it or glancing at it at a Goodwill and just laughing kind of ironically about it, they're actually looking for interesting movies and kind of want to relive those days. That's always nice to hear. So that's probably the best part about it.
And I wanted to say that I definitely from the get-go, whenever I first heard about you guys making this documentary, I wanted to support it in every way, just because I feel like you guys are hitting on a number of different things, but you're also kind of bringing to the forefront what the future of filmmaking is, and sort of how if you were a nerdy kid that was into just horror movies, everybody thought it was weird, but you're able to now take it, and you're not only are you talking about it, making it a thing, you're making a movie about it, and you're changing the way that people make movies as well. Touring the country and talking to other like-minded individuals. I think that is so fucking awesome. And I wanted to just sincerely thank you for that, and to, putting in all of this hard work to put this movie out. So definitely would support you guys in any way possible.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right. And then I know that we're kind of pinched for time here. I know you got to run. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you, are there any plans for future films?
Future films? Yeah, we are working on another movie. We're just in the early stages. It's going to be a toss-up between a fiction. We want to do a horror movie almost. I'd like to do almost, I guess, well, there's two ideas. One's a slasher and one's a straight up ghost movie. And then we also have a few ideas for more documentaries that we want to do. And then other plans throughout this year, I'm definitely still going to be releasing stuff through VHShitfest. I'm putting out a documentary that Donald Farmer did in the 90s called Invasion of the Scream Queens. And it's super obscure. The VHS is almost impossible to find. And the movie was almost forgotten entirely. And like I'm proud to be able to like put that out on DVD and VHS with extra footage. I got an interview with Donald Farmer on there, and there's like some deleted scenes and stuff like that. So I'm excited for people to be able to see that. And yeah, I'm just going to continue trying to, shine light on movies that like aren't popular enough or have almost been forgotten, and then also get to work on our next feature.
Well, that sounds awesome, dude. Yeah, I'm looking for. I would definitely look forward to seeing that documentary that you're talking about releasing. So I'm gonna keep up with what you guys put onto VHShitfest.com, and we'll spread the word for you. Anything you guys need to put out, man, hit us up. We have no problem promoting anything you guys want to put out because you're fighting the good fight out there.
Oh, thank you. Very appreciated.
And if you guys ever come through St. Louis and you need a place to crash, dude, you can just hit me up, and I'd be happy to set you guys up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, Dan, thanks so much for the time, man, and we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Marty Rustum presents a new horror classic, Eaten Alive.
Hello?
Created by Tobe Hooper, maker of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Mel Ferrer, Carolyn Jones, Stuart Whitman.
Who's there?
Neville Brand. The most terrifying 90 minutes you ever spent in a theater. Eaten Alive. A VIP picture, rated R.